Hello everybody, I am GeneaVlogger, the GeneaVlogger, and welcome back to another Professional Genealogist Reacts. On today's video, I will be reacting to Snooki JWoww's DNA test results will shock you from Moms with Attitude from MTV, and this is posted on the Jersey Shore YouTube channel. I don't really know Snooki JWoww's ancestry. I don't know if it's ever been talked about. I remember watching a bit of Jersey Shore back in the day, but, just kind of like as a teenage kid, like, oh, this is crazy. As far as I know, they're Italian, that would be the presumption on Jersey Shore, that's kind of the thing. A lot of people think Jersey Shore Italians, but I don't know if they're actually Italian. I'm looking at the photo of Snooki and JWoww right now. And I don't have the screen recording, so I'm going to get that going now so you all can see it as I kind of talk about it. But so looking at them, honestly, JWoww, she could be any sort of European, really hard to tell. I guess I wouldn't be surprised if there's any sort of other mix. Both of them look like they could be almost anything. Asian, Native American, Caribbean. I don't think either of them are going to be getting a large amount of like sub-Saharan African or anything like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if either of them got some sort of African, if they have Cuban ancestry or Puerto Rican ancestry or some sort of Caribbean. It's not uncommon to have, a big mix of like European, Native American, and African. So, I don't know, I guess I won't go too much into guessing. But before we jump into the video, please be sure to give this a thumbs up. It really does help me out. Also, be sure to subscribe and click that bell for notifications on future videos. But now, with that fun stuff said, let's go ahead and watch the video.
Hi, guys.
That's going to need to be louder. Now let's watch the video.
Hi, guys. Today, Nicole and I wanted to do a DNA test, mostly for our children and family tree.
Wait, is that Snooki's name, Nicole? I never knew that. All right. I don't know what JWoww's name is either.
We want our kids to one day understand where they came from.
Yeah, and I don't even know where I came from, to be honest. I'm adopted, so I don't even know. I could be birthed
Interesting.
From, like, dragons and squirrels.
Yeah.
So if she's adopted, I'd wonder if they did anything to like help her find her biological family, if that's something of interest to her. But I'm doubting it now that I'm looking at, this video is only like it's just under 6 minutes. So I'm guessing they won't go into anything like that. But interesting.
Like, I'm curious.
It's like a DNA or a paternity test.
You are not the father. It tells you, like,
Whoa.
if you have a high tolerance to alcohol or not.
I do. What?
Spit to fill the line.
That's disgusting. Oh, this is I'm legit gonna vomit. I can't do saliva or boogers.
I got nothing. I'm like dehydrated. I just drink too much coffee.
Am I done? I'm
I'd
done.
rather have my blood
God,
drawn.
yeah, this is the worst experience of my life.
So a few weeks ago, Nicole and I spit into these little cups for 23andMe because we are super curious about not only our ancestry history, but also our genetic background.
Yeah.
And we have Juliana here who's going to break down our results.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen Juliana in a whole bunch of other videos. I think she was in some of the BuzzFeed ones and all of that. I think she's one of the specialists with 23andMe.
Jewish?
I was Jewish.
I always wanted to be Jewish.
Jewish and Slovakian. Slovakian.
I think she was trying to say Czechoslovakian. I wouldn't be surprised if either of them have any sort of Jewish in them. But like I said in the beginning, it's kind of hard not to be surprised anything would pop up because I don't know their ancestry.
All right, are you ready to find out?
Yes.
Okay, so in terms of your ancestry, you are 24% British and Irish. So
Is
it
that
is
where my, like,
broken
Guinness
down.
lives?
Your recent ancestor location is actually Ireland. And it's
I get this from spit.
it's crazy,
Same.
isn't
Crazy.
it? Yeah. 16.9% French and German, and then 7.3% Italian.
Oh, I actually belong on the Jersey Shore.
Hey, there you go.
5.9% Iberian, which could be Spain or Portugal.
Okay, that makes sense.
2% Eastern European.
What's that?
So that could be places
Russia and
like
stuff?
Russia, Poland.
Oh, she's definitely
So
Russian.
Yeah.
You'll kill her. These are all facts.
Yes, that's a fact.
And then 1% Finnish.
I'm like,
Okay, let's see. She's basically a European mutt, not too dissimilar to a lot of typical European Americans. And then 23.9% broadly Northwestern European. So, basically meaning that somewhere in Northwest Europe, but they couldn't quite pinpoint it that well. And that could really apply to a lot of these. I mean, British and Irish, French and German, probably doesn't apply to Italian or Iberian, but it could. Same with Eastern European and Finnish. And then Sardinian and Balkan. Well, Finnish, Sardinian, Balkan, and Eastern European are all what we call trace results. But, it's, yeah, we'll just keep going.
pure, like that's the definition.
Yeah. So what have you heard about your ancestry?
She's
Well,
Jewish.
I did like a DNA test with a swab.
Oh, 5 years ago.
5 years ago, it said I was Jewish, Czechoslovakian.
Small amounts.
There was nothing Chile. And I was born in Santiago, Chile, so I thought I was like 100%.
I mean, she
Because
literally.
I
Oh.
Googled pictures of Chilean people.
Yeah.
Interesting. So she might have some Jewish in there. I'd be curious what test she took before. She said it was a swab, so it could be family tree DNA. Could have been my heritage. Might have been some other test. I mean, there are other tests out on the market. I think National Geographic was a swab, I believe, too. So she might have been part of that, the Nat Geo study. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of any companies that would specifically say Czechoslovakian. I feel like Czechoslovakia, like that's one of those countries right in that area of where the borders have changed so much. I wouldn't think that any companies would try to define that. That would just probably be lumped in with a whole bunch of other, either Balkan or Eastern European or some mix of that. So, or even Central European or, even French and German, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'd be curious what that was, but.
We're short and brown, that's me.
You are 61.5% East Asian Native American.
I'm Asian.
That's where Chile is.
59.5%
Oh,
Native
okay.
American, broken down into Chile.
Chile, yay!
So
You're Native
it's
American.
a huge chunk. You
Sorry.
are still Jewish. So
How is that a thing?
in terms of
How much?
European, you're 31.2%.
Jewish, you're still Jewish. 0.4%. That's a trace result. And this is from January 27th, 2019, so over 2 years old. These are definitely updated. I know for sure it's done it on 23andMe because they did some things in their updates that a lot of genealogists weren't exactly the happiest about. But yeah, that 0.4%, I mean, maybe, if she figured out who her parents were and were able to get them to test, she might be able to figure it out. Or if it just so happens to be through her maternal line, if she gets her mitochondrial DNA back, she may have a mitochondrial haplogroup of, one that's common among the Jewish population. But more than likely, 0.4%, it's such a small trace result that there's a lot of skepticism and this is one thing I hate about a lot of these videos when there's an expert on there is they don't seem to go too into this is a trace result. And so, yeah, it's in there, but might, could be a misread. She may, they may have done that in the video and it's just cut out, but it's one of the downsides. But looking at the other parts, European, 20.6% Iberian, then very small amount of British and Irish, then the Ashkenazi Jewish, and then broadly Southern European. So broadly Southern European, it really, a lot of people will think of that as kind of like Italy and maybe Southern France or, something like that. And then it can also include Iberia. So basically, just think of that Southern, I guess more southwestern part of Europe. You know, it might include some of that southeastern part, but basically it's all kind of saying like about Iberia. So a very what it seems like a very traditional South American ancestry in terms of the breakdown. Large amount of that Native American, obviously the random bits of Asian just because of the history of Native Americans, and then, you know, the Spanish conquistadors, or, you know. So let's continue.
European, broken down further into
She's
20.
British and Irish.
20.6%.
I am not Irish.
You don't have any Italian in you.
I'm
But
Italian.
On occasion.
it could be.
My husband.
Yeah.
Broadly Southern European. Okay. I heard Juliana start to say it could be, though, and I bet in that moment, which they've cut out, she explained that Southern European could be Italian.
Unfortunately, we could not detect identical DNA segments between you two, so you're not related.
Yes, we are.
Yeah?
We're definitely related.
I had fun though. That's awesome.
Yeah?
Alright, so being that we kind of figured out what we are, we wanted to do a little project with the girlies, and we're gonna do a family tree. We saw this on Pinterest. Hi. A family tree. Hi. So we're gonna glue it on like that. So then they have a little family tree. You're gonna
Okay, so this is just going to be super, super simple, like, you know, little kids project that'll probably get destroyed at some point. So yeah, oh gosh, there's like a whole 2 minutes left of the video. I wonder how much of this I'll include, because this really does not have to do with genealogy or DNA or anything like
glue the
that.
pictures on the flower. Such a cute project. I love it.
Cute.
But I'm gonna have to add more branches because I want a baby.
I just threw them in my mouth.
All right, well, that was a video. Kind of what I expected, not really going into it in depth, just a kind of basic overview. I really didn't have any expectations going in, obviously. Very interesting to hear that Snooki was adopted and that, you know, she's basically South American. So, you know, I wonder if she would be able to figure out who her family was. Just because, you know, being from South America, that just adds a whole nother layer of difficulty to finding her family. But it's still possible. So I wonder if she's ever tried. Otherwise, JWoww was kind of just, you know, typical European mutt. Nothing crazy. You know, I wonder what her recent ancestry would be, like where her grandparents were all born and where her great-grandparents were all born. If she's like, you know, if she's like most Americans, you know, they were born in America, or if maybe she's kind of coming from like more recent immigrants. But being such a European mutt, I really would not be surprised if she has long lines of ancestry in America, just because I find with a lot of people that come from, you know, American families that have been here since, you know, the Mayflower, you know, the 1700s, or, you know, people who haven't immigrated within, you know, who immigrated before the 1800s, really. There seems to be a lot more of that European mixture, just because once you're in America, after a few generations, you're really more American than like being Irish or Italian or German or whatever, although that's not always the case. But I think the real interesting thing, if I were to look at anything else into this, would be, you know, Snooki's birth story and her biological family, if she's ever looked for them. Well, thank you so much for checking out this video. I do hope that you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to give this a thumbs up. It really does help me out. It boosts me in the algorithm. You can also click right about here if you'd like to subscribe. It is completely free to do so. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at GeneaVlogger. I'm the GeneaVlogger. See you in my next video.